Okay, now it's, okay, got it.
Now it will get you where you need to be.
Okay, now I've turned it over to you now.
Yeah, and you can
Okay.
stop the record until.
Yeah, I was trying to get in there. I said, he's so fast. I said, I'm going to try to get in there before he does. But now, are you recording now?
No, you are.
Okay, do you want me to stop it right now?
Yeah, you can stop the record.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, it's recording.
All right. We got another minute or so here. This is 601. We just got through with 603.
Hi, Thomas.
All right.
Okay, Mama, pray. You know she can't say nothing. She ain't gonna say nothing. They gonna sleep with me. You know she don't care nothing about you, so. I know it.
Right, Lamb, can you mute everybody?
That would mess them all up. Told her not to feel nice today. You told her that anyway.
Yep. You'll have to unmute to talk now.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So you are recording on your end?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me go back to share then. There we go. And here we are. All right, 7:01, it's time to get started. Good evening. This is Mel 601. This is your weekly coaching session. Tonight it says on January 31st, we'll do an introduction to dispositions, competencies, peer reviewing, Zoom, discussion board, task stream, workshop on APA style, and turn it in.
And some of that, Dr. Lamb, you kind of do. They've had the workshop on APA style guide. Unless they've got questions about peer reviewing, we're okay with that. Zoom should be okay. Do need to talk about turn it in, dispositions, and probably competencies and anything else that you want to. But the others, I think we pretty much are covered.
All right. So that starts me out tonight. Then I'll start with dispositions. All right. When you get into task stream, and that will be, looks like next week. I followed up with that today. When you get into task stream, I recommend that you use Chrome. Microsoft Edge will not work. Some of the other browsers, there's problems. I recommend you use Chrome to get into task stream. When you get into task stream, there is a set of dispositions. Again, I'm going through this so that you can see how you go into logging in to task stream, signing in, and then when you go in your DRF. Let me change it over to author view. Again, you do not have an account yet, but when you have an account, this is what it will show up independent of me from task stream. And so I want to make sure that I've covered this before you go in and make mistakes. And so the time to cover it's before you make the mistakes. So you find your DRF, you're an add-on group, spring of 18. And so you start with your School of Ed dispositions. It's going to edit your responses. It's going to ask you about your dispositional behaviors in each of these areas. Now, there is nothing for you to have to write. There's nothing for you to have to put in as an evidence. There's nothing that you should have had to do. This is kind of the pretest. Where are you at the beginning of this program? Now, I tell students that you can go all the way up through meets expectations. If you exceed expectations to start with, I need to know how and why. If you're less than meets expectations, that's okay. But you need to do a realistic self-assessment of your learner development. And I'm not going to read all these to you. Your learning differences, learning environments, content knowledge, application of knowledge, assessment. Again, this is the first thing that you do in TaskStream. Once you get your account established, you go in and do this. And when you get to the end, you do a save and return and then submit work. And it will tell you that it's been submitted. It will pop up like that. Now, what will happen is that will trigger an email for your coach and for me to go in and look at your dispositions. And then that we'll grade those. We'll do the other half of that, and then that will be done. And then you will know when we have done that by going to your scores results page, and you will have a results over here in your scores results. You will have that over here in your results for School of Ed disposition, and it will say met. It will be right there. So that's how you do your disposition. We're big on, in terms of your evaluation, is big on dispositional behaviors as a principal. It's in the evaluation manual. That's why we have it here. The state requires for license that you assess yourself and that we assess you at different points in the program. So we're going to do that each semester. We're going to do a follow-up on your dispositions. So when you get to next semester to 603 and you say, well, I've already done those that you did this semester, you'll do them every semester. And hopefully by the time that we get through, you will be exceeds in all areas of these. But that's, your dispositional behaviors are demonstrated through the work that you do. But this is the first thing that you will do in TaskStream. Please be sure that you understand that we need for you to do that when you go in, and that simply saving in return, you got to submit the work. And then when we do the other half, you'll get that response back in your scores results page. Remember, there are different pages here: work, comment, scores, result, resources, and options. You work off, obviously, your work page. And then you get your scores results on your scores results page. So the first thing that you're going to do when you get in your DRF portfolio, it'll probably be before I get back on with you next Thursday, or the next time I'm on, you will have the opportunity to do your dispositions. Do those immediately as soon as you can get into TaskStream. And make sure you activate that account. That code to activate your account is only good for 24 hours, I believe, 24 or 48. It's according to the type that we give you. But that's not good on and on. So when you get that email from TaskStream that says that you're now registered and it gives you a code, you need to go in and activate your account immediately when you get that. And then the first thing you do is you go to your Spring 19 add-on DRF and you do your School of Ed dispositions. That way we know your account is active and it works. There will be a small percentage of you, probably about 5%, which would be about 5 of you. For this group, there's about 100 in this group. There'll be about 5 of you that it won't work. And then we'll have to track down each of those individually and figure out why your account's not tracking back to us. This is our first check to make sure that that we get your responses and that you get our responses. Just because you have the DRF doesn't mean that it's working properly. Every semester we have 3 to 5 that don't work. Make sure that it's not time for you to add your work for evaluation before we find out that yours is not working properly. So make sure you do that right away. Do your School of Ed dispositions. Now, the next thing obviously you will do is upload your app cell for evaluation. When you come here and click on app cell, you go to attachments and it will let you go to your computer, upload from your computer, and you'll add a file. You'll find that document. Start the upload and close. When it says 100%, and there it is. Again, save and return, submit. So that's the next thing that will happen. The third thing that will happen this semester is you'll do the same for the APTEL. When you upload it, again, within 48 hours, you should have a score result. Hopefully within 24. You will have a score results in terms of what your score is on that evidence artifact on a scale of 1 to 4. 3 is passing. Anything above 3 is good. If you get a 3.2 and you email me or Dr. Stedman or Dr. Shepard or Dr. Hamilton, and you say, I know I could do better, I want to resubmit, that's a no. As long as you get a 3, they will not they only get paid to grade your work one time. They will not grade it again for free. If it passes, that's it. If it doesn't pass, if you get a needs revision, if it gets sent back for revision, the evaluator will give you comments as to what needs to be done to fix it. And then you will work with your coach to fix it and get it back in. We have very little of that, but it does happen. Usually when that happens is somebody put the wrong version. They put a draft version in that was incomplete is our biggest reason why those are sent back. So when you go in, make sure that you have named your file that you know it's the final one that has all the tasks of the APTEL in it, or then later on the APTEL. Biggest mistake I see is they'll send in a draft that only has 4 of the 5 or 3 of the 4. And then simply you uploaded the wrong file. Our folks, we don't like that. We want our graders, we want these evaluators to know when Gardner Webb work's coming in that it's going to follow a certain format, it's going to be complete, it's going to be good. They're not going to have to worry about grammar. They're not going to have to send it back because your writing was poor or any of that. So make sure when you upload your work that you pick the right document, upload it within 48 hours, you'll get your score results. Go back to your work page to upload more. Work page to upload scores results to find out the result. If it's less than a 3, they'll send it back for revision. They won't just give you a 2.5 and that be the end of it. You get one time to do a revision. If that doesn't work, then we'll have to work with you separately. But they'll give us one revision. They will not regrade work that got at least a 3. They're not paid to do that. They're paid to do one revision. So make it count when you put it in there. And then the last thing that you will do this semester is your competency analysis. And this is a simple copy and paste. When you do your competency analysis, you will go back to task 5 of the APTEL and task 4 of the APTEL, where you wrote your competencies. In those tasks, you're asked to do 13 in APTEL task 5 and the other 9 in the APTEL. You simply go in and copy and paste them into the appropriate box. Now, don't be that person that sends me an email and says, there's some at the end of these that I didn't write. Don't be that person. When you get past technology, there's 2 more boxes. They're going to ask you to write a competency overall for your knowledge of the curriculum that you came away with this semester. You'll have to write that extemporaneously. That's kind of like the exam. So the first 21 are just a copy and paste. You've already written them. This will come in the last 2 weeks of the semester. But then they'll ask you, how has your knowledge of curriculum changed? How is it now better informed? How are you now competent in terms of knowledge of curriculum and then knowledge of assessment? They'll ask you, these are kind of the final exam questions for competencies for this semester. You have to write these. Don't be that person that emails me and says, I've got 2 extra ones on mine. I don't know where that stuff is. It isn't there. This is your exam questions for this semester for competencies. You write these extemporaneously when you get there. The first 21 are a copy and paste. The last 2, you have to summarize how you've become competent in your knowledge of curriculum and your knowledge of assessment from the work that you've done this semester. Save and return, submit. And that will be scored as well. And you get that score, you'll get that score within 2 days. I'd like for them to be within 1 day, but that's, they only guarantee a 48-hour turnaround. Usually it's within 24. All right, I'll stop and answer some questions. All right, we've got one that's already in tab. Very good. So some of you, that's what I said, by before I checked with him today, he started establishing accounts. Everybody won't have theirs, he said, till sometime next week, but he has started doing that. He has to do these individually. It's not a batch enrollment deal. He has to go in and put each one of you in. So it takes a while to do this. We've got 136 new students this semester, and then we've got some returning students. That's just in our program. And then he's got all the new students in all the other programs. And then he's got to renew licenses on some that run out. And so he's kind of snowed in. And again, he could not start until today because if you'll remember, roll verification was yesterday. He cannot do this until you're verified on the roll. I told you that last week. He's not allowed to put them in until we verify. That way we're sure that we're going to get at least the task stream money out of you. Even if you drop today, we get the task stream money out of you if you verified yesterday. Task stream is just pass-through money. If you can establish your account, again, as soon as it comes, establish your account, go in and do School of Ed dispositions for your first semester in 601. And so good. Thank you for sharing that with me, Marshall. But yes, the accounts are coming. Amanda asked a good question. Can we upload our final as a PDF? Absolutely. There's 2 formats that you can use to upload, Word and PDF, and that's it. There's no exception to that. If you try to do a notes or pages or something out of Apple or what, no. The only 2 accepted forms of upload into TaskStream, the only thing that they're compatible with, since it's a Chrome product, is Word and PDF, period. If you try to upload something else, you may upload it, but the evaluator won't be able to download it. And that makes them mad as fire. Your score doesn't turn out nearly as well when you do that. Again, everybody knows the deal. This is a Chrome product. Watermark bought this, and they are linked to Chrome. So Apple doesn't work. Notes, pages, all those other forms that you use, nope, not on this thing. Word or PDF? That's a great question. So when I get an email from one of you that says it won't let me upload my document, well, that's usually because it's not in the right format. And let's speak about that. You use the attachment button. If you're trying to upload a PDF and it won't upload, and some forms of PDFs are different than others. If it won't let you upload using the attachment button for a PDF, this is just for a PDF, use text and image button. Let me say that again. Use the attachment button to upload your documents. If your PDF won't upload, that means it's an older version. Go over to text and image and use that button, and it will let you upload it there. The new stuff from the last 2 or 3 years will upload under attachment. Some of the old Adobe stuff from years ago, the old PDFs that were a different format, you'll have to use text and image button to upload them. So it's according to what version you have. You folks grew up on technology. You ought to be able to figure this out. All right. When you go to TaskStream, when you first sign into TaskStream, you'll come to this page that says work on a program. You'll only have one box. I have a lot. You'll only have one. and it will say Spring 19 add-on licensure. It'll have a little round button that says DRF. That's your DRF portfolio. That's direct response folio. When you click on that, it will open up your entire portfolio for every semester that you use the same one the whole time you're in the program. MEL 601 is right there. The things that you have to do this semester, things you have to do next semester. Actually, you'll do the skip as well. This is an older version. Yours will be updated from this. It will have the skip under the MEL 603, and then you'll do the CAP and the SOP in your last semester, your competency folio, and your internship log. This one's from 2017. So, but everything that you have to do will be right here. But again, as soon as you sign in, this is the screen you will see, but it'll just be one of these boxes. And it will say Spring 19 add-on licensure. If yours doesn't say that, then you need to let me know because you've been put in the wrong DRF. And that happens sometimes as well. So when you get to your main screen, it says right here, if you have any problems, contact Seth. But you need to let us know if it doesn't say MEL Spring 19 add-on licensure. If you're not, you're in the wrong DRF. We don't want to find that out at the end of your program, but you're in the wrong DRF. Remember, these go to the state for your license. This is not a Gardner Webb thing. All right. Emily says, it says you're not logged in and there's no box or circle. It says I'm not enrolled. That then he's got you in, but he doesn't have you enrolled yet. If when you log in the morning, if it still does the same thing, send Seth an email. These things come in about 6-hour increments. He has to put you in, then has to wait to do the programs. So hopefully, if it's not there tomorrow, let him know. But remember, he just started building these today when verification closed yesterday. Gardner Webb collects this money in your portfolio fee, but it's pass-through money. It goes straight to Watermark. And if we enroll you and you drop, we don't get that money, then the college has to eat that fee. And it's quite expensive. So that's why they don't load these until verification. It's a money thing. All right. So we have covered dispositions. We have covered competencies. We talked about TaskStream. It's in the process of coming online for you right now. All right. Now remember, when you leave TaskStream, to hit the log out button. If you don't, it may lock you out for up to 6 hours. If you're working, like me, I work in and out of it all day. I just log out and leave it like this and go on back to where I was before. And then when I come back, I just hit the sign in button and go back in. Do not close this program without logging out. It will eventually penalize you for doing that. Okay. All right. All right. Back to our list here for the 31st. We've covered dispositions, competencies. Dr. Stedman says he's already done enough on peer review. Zoom, Blackboard, including discussion board. Yeah, I want to go over that again, and I want to go over Turnitin. All right. So first thing I want to cover in Blackboard tonight, and I'll do Zoom last, is discussion board. Please remember that when you go to discussion board, you can go straight to discussion board, or you can go in through AppSell task for review. They both take you to the same discussion board. And this is where you go upload your task for peer instructor review. This is where you go and pick up the threads from the person that's in your group. You find out, let's say Heather's in my group. I pick her, I can go and click on her rough draft, and there it will be right here. See this? It's in a PDF, and I can download that, and I've got it. Then I take and read it, and then I fill out the review form. All right, so I go and pull up my review form. So I've got her document up, and I go to, and I find my peer review form. And I fill it out. And you put your name. My name is Dale. And then I put the author's name, and the author was Heather. And this is AppSell 1. And then I tell her what I think about each of these areas. The content, it was excellent. And I tell her why it was excellent or why it wasn't. And then I go through each of these and I say, and I don't just say good, bad, or indifferent. I tell her why it's good, bad, or indifferent, or what she could do to improve that. And then I save this file, save as. I save that document, then I close it. I can close hers. I go back here to the reply button to Heather. I do a reply, and I say, here is your review. It was great. Browse my computer, find it, attach it, submit it. So now it says, here's your review. It was great, right there on the thread. And there's the document to help guide her in her revisions. And that's how you download somebody else's, upload it for to help them with their review, and then you're almost home, and then you come over here to AppSell Assignment Dropbox, AppSell Task 1 Final.
No, AppSell, the wrong one. Yeah.
AppSell Completed Peer Review Dropbox, excuse me. Task 1 for peer review, I click on it. I can get 100 possible points, browse my computer, upload that review, and submit it. And I'm done with that review. Now, mine's not.
Lamb, remind them that they have to do that twice. There's 2 places. Somebody wanted to know why their grade wasn't showing today, but you've got to do that twice. There's 2 places to submit 2 different documents.
Okay. So the question comes in, what if nobody has peer reviewed my task 1 yet? Well, then you need to send an email to your peer review team. Say, somebody review my task for me. I'm hoping that you got some instructor feedback. And then once you submit it, it's good. So then it goes to the grade center and we grade it, or your instructor grades it. Now, Dr. Stedman, you want to go back and say again?
Okay, look at it. He's got it on the screen now. You see APSEL Task 1 peer review, and then there's APSEL Task 1 peer review. That means that's where you place your document 1 and then document 2 for the 2 peer reviews.
For the 2 that you have to do for Task 1.
And go all the way down to the bottom, Dr. Lamb. Somebody asked the question, where will I put my Zoom video for the APSEL Task 1 and 2? This is where it goes.
Right there. Right there. So that's how you do peer review. The important thing there is give your colleagues some good feedback.
I have gotten excellent peer reviews from the 2 groups I've been looking at. Excellent peer reviews.
Okay, good. All right, so that's peer reviewing. And so here's where you go and get them all. Here's where you go and get them, right? You can shortcut by just going to the discussion board link down here, or you can go to APSEL Task for Review, takes you to the same discussion board. APTEL Task for Review takes you to the same discussion board. Okay, and that's where you go and you work out of those threads in your discussion board. Again, you click on this one to find your person, and then you click on their link, their thread, and it will take you to their document. All right, so that's how peer reviewing works. It's fairly easy. Now, next thing I want to cover tonight is Turnitin. If you've already used Turnitin, you've jumped the gun. Turnitin is only used once all 5 tasks of the APSEL or all 4 tasks of the APTEL are complete. This is the last thing you do before you go to TaskStream with that completed document, that final evidence narrative that has all tasks. As soon as that's done, you've compiled them all, it's ready to go. This is the last thing you do in Blackboard with it. You bring it here. You obviously submit it in Dropbox for your grade, but then you bring it here and we do a Turnitin check on it. Most of the problem that we have here is not citing references correctly. The threshold on this is 30%. It can only match 30, and that's because the directions are common. The directions are going to match about 25% of previous papers because they're the directions. If you get above about 5% more things that match something else, then there's a problem. It gives us a detail sheet. You don't get that. Do not go in and try to create your own account and turn it in and put your work in before we get it. If you do that, we get 100% match when you put it in for us. Let me say that again. Do not attempt to create your own account and turn it in and put it in before you send it to us. Because then when we get it, we get 100% match. We don't like that. Put your paper together, put it in here, follow the directions. We will see then if there's a problem. If not, we'll say excellent, submit for evaluation in TaskStream. If there's a problem, we will work with you individually to fix what the problem is, and usually it's just citing references. But remember, you're submitting this portfolio to the state. You can't make it appear that you are plagiarizing somebody else's work by not citing references correctly. And there are a lot of references in the APSEL because you're doing the annotated bibliography and you're doing that literature review. But they have to be cited properly. We can't turn in somebody else's work under our name. So when you come here, you simply click on View Complete. When you get that final evidence narrative, and it will allow you to upload from this computer, from Dropbox, or from Google Drive. It will allow you to do that. Again, don't try to put a Google Doc in. It doesn't, we can retrieve it, but we can't, it's hard to grade a Google Doc. So don't put a Google Doc into TaskStream. Remember the only 2 types of documents we put in TaskStream? We put in Word documents and PDFs. We don't put in Google Drive documents. when the evaluator goes to evaluate their work, if it's in PDF or Word form, when they click on evaluate this document, their screen splits into two halves automatically. On one half is the grading rubric. On the other half is your paper. Guess what they do? They scroll down your paper and they read and they compare it to the grading rubric. It's on the same screen. They don't have to sit there with a manual in their lap with the grading rubric in it. They have the grading rubrics on one half the screen, the documents on the other. Makes it a whole lot faster for them. If you put it in something other than those, even if it does upload, it'll just come up on the screen, and they'll have to sit there and try to figure out if it matches the rubric or not, or they'll have to go get a hard copy of the rubric, or crank up another computer and get the rubric up on it, and then go back and forth between the two. That makes them mad as fire. Remember, they're paid to grade it one time and then read revisions one time. They're not paid to have to sit with a manual in their lap, read the manual on the rubric, and try to look at your document at the same time. They don't like that. It slows their grading down. So remember, we want to make it as easy as possible for our graders, or for our evaluators. We get better scores that way. So if you have it in Dropbox or Drive here, but we can live with that in the Turnitin check. But when it goes to TaskStream, it needs to be a PDF or a Word document. This is the last thing you do here. We check it to make sure that it fits APA format and that it doesn't violate our standards and turn it in. We will respond back to you, excellent, submit, or we need to fix this. We'll do that again within 24 hours. And then once it's good, you go to TaskStream with it. Now, the thing you have to remember is there's a Turnitin function that's built into TaskStream for them that will not show 100%. It will show what theirs is. They use a different version. That's a master version of Turnitin, understanding that we've already done it one time. And if you skip this and you take it straight to Turnitin to TaskStream, and you didn't turn it in check with us, and it violates the standards of 30%, there's going to be a problem. We need to fix those at our level in Blackboard. I do not want evaluators to get in touch with me that we're turning in work that's been plagiarized. Then that creates a whole nother level of problems for you and I. We are paying for this in order to avoid those problems. But if you try to use it along the way, like I'll slip and put one task in, nobody will ever know. Yes, we will. You can't. This is a one-shot deal. You can't take and put your task in individually, and then when you put the final one in, it'll show 100%. This is a one-time deal. Do not put partial work in here. We don't like partial work anywhere. Wait until the entire document is done, task 1 through 5, then you put it in here. Do not put task 1 in here. This is to check it at the end. All right, so that covers Zoom and Turnitin. APA, the templates that I've given you are in APA format. If you continue that format, you'll be fine. The biggest thing is charts, tables, and graphs. They're all called figures. They're labeled as figures in APA format. Underneath it, you number them consecutively, and you don't start over with each task. So if you have 5 figures in task 1, the first one in task 2 is figure number 6, not number 1. Let me say that again. If you have 5 figures in AppSell task 1, and then the first figure in AppSell task 2 is number 6, it is not number 1. In the end, you're going to end up with a document that looks holistic, like you sat down and wrote it all as one paper instead of individual tasks. So go ahead and remember that when you start putting these together, that every chart, table, and graph by APA format is labeled as a figure, and the numbering runs consecutively. It does not start over at any point in your paper. Is it okay to place pie charts under artifacts? Well, I think you're asking as appendices. We should see the data in your paper. You can't just put all of your charts, tables, and graphs in the appendices. They have to be at the appropriate place in the narrative. The general rule of thumb for charts, tables, and graphs is we put them in the narrative unless they're more than a page. Then we summarize them in a smaller narrative and put the whole chart, table, or graph in the appendices. Let me say that again. The rule of thumb is if you've got a huge chart, table, or graph or several pages of data, like from Dibbles, my M class, you pull out a chart or create one in Word and you put it in the narrative to demonstrate your point, but the entire M-class data report that's 4 pages long goes in the appendices. We do not want to see 4 pages of Dibble data in your narrative. We want to see a summary figure in your narrative. The rest goes in appendices. Don't edit your videos. When should I begin uploading that evidence to TaskStream? When it's complete and when we tell you to. Again, you will only upload the finished product to TaskStream in terms of the evidence. The evidence is 1 through 5. I think what you're asking me, when do we start uploading artifacts to TaskStream? I'm going to go over that again in a minute. The evidence is the written narrative. There's tasks, 5 of them for the app cell. That's the written narrative. We call that the final evidence narrative. It's only uploaded as one document with all 5 tasks at the end. After you've been approved on each of your individual tasks, the final has been approved through Turnitin, then and only then will it go to TaskStream. Now, you're asking about artifacts that go to your competency folio. You can do that at any time, and I'll go over that again in a minute. You've got to get your terminology right. You've got to get your terminology right. The written narrative that you're doing now is an evidence. It's not an artifact. An artifact's a thing. It's a product. It's a picture. It's a video. It's an agenda. It's minutes. It's things that are produced from the work of an administrator. That's an artifact. What you're writing now is called an evidence. Let me okay. All right. So when I say don't edit your videos, I don't know how to expand on that. Don't edit your videos. If there's something that shouldn't be in it, don't have them in there. Don't edit your videos. Video your meetings and upload them. We don't do editing on our videos. If that happens and I get questioned as to why we're having to edit videos, it looks like they might be staged. The rule on videos is if there's something in there that shouldn't be in there, then don't record it in there. But don't go back and edit them. We don't provide production facilities in Kaltura. We don't provide instruction in Kaltura on how to do those. Your videos need to remain whole. Don't edit your videos. I don't want to get into questions about why we're turning in edited videos. Okay. All right. Let me speak to competency folio. All right. Back to TaskStream. Yeah, that'd be fine with the swivel device. That's fine. When you get into TaskStream, as I showed you, and this is the last thing that I have for you tonight, I saved it for the end for this reason. When you log into TaskStream and you do your sign in, to create and access your competency folio for artifacts, go to folios and web pages. I showed you last time how to do that. There's a video in your shell. I won't go through that again for time because I've got something I need to show you tonight. You come to yours, and this is where you put your artifacts. I need one sentence of explanation if it's self-explanatory. Do not write a narrative here. I don't want a narrative here. I can't be clear. I can't say this enough times. I don't want a narrative here. I want the thing, the artifact that you produce from your work here. I do not want an explanation of why you're competent. I want proof that you're competent through an artifact. And I'll show you why. So for communication, I would expect to see an email, an agenda, minutes, something like that. Email permission from your principal to start a screenshot of that starts your PLC. I need to see a thing for communication. You can tell us in a sentence what it is. If it takes more than a sentence, it's probably not an artifact. If it takes more than a sentence to explain it, it's not an artifact. Now, this is the reason why we're training you for principal evaluation when you get your job. And here it is. Here's the evaluation manual. Let's look at some terms here. First one we're going to look at is evidence. It's document. It's a written narrative, a document that demonstrates or confirms the work of the person being evaluated. You write the story in the evidence narrative. That is an evidence. That's where you tell us what you did and you argue that you've done what you're supposed to do to support the rating that you think you ought to get in that area as a principal or an assistant principal. What is an artifact? Let's read this one carefully. Much longer definition. It's a product resulting from a principal or assistant principal's work. Artifacts are natural byproducts of work and are not created for the purpose of satisfying evaluation requirement. That means it's not a narrative. You can't write it up. I'm trying to teach you the difference between an evidence narrative and an artifact. You can't just write up why you think that you're competent on this particular competency, why you've met it, and make an argument. The work stands on its own. Either it's there or it isn't. They have to be authentic byproducts of your work and used to support your evaluation ratings. They are examples of your work. And the state goes even further. For each of the standards in the state evaluation rubric, they give you an example of what should be in your written narrative. They call them practices. And then they tell you what artifacts will be generated having done that work that they would expect to see. We're trying to teach you the difference between an evidence and an artifact. This will be crucial when you're evaluated as an assistant principal. You'll turn in a written narrative of what you've done, just like we're having you do now. But then you'll also have to produce artifacts. And they can't just be where you wrote something else to argue for proficiency. The artifacts cannot just be created for evaluation purposes. That means no written narrative. They have to be things that are natural byproducts, that are authentic things that would be produced as for you having done the work of an administrator. Very important that you understand the difference. So now, when we go back and we talk about this competency folio, I don't want to see written narratives in this. That's not what it's for. It's for artifacts. It's for things. It's for pictures. It's for screenshots. It's for emails. It's for videos. It's for those kinds of things. That's why they have all these different buttons up here for you to upload different kinds of media. If you've got a PDF or a picture, a PNG, a screenshot, you use the text and image button. If you've got a PowerPoint or a Prezi, you use the slideshow button. If you've got a document like an agenda that was done in Word, you upload it here. If you've got an MP4, you upload it here. If you've got a YouTube link, you upload it here. That's why they have all these different buttons here, because they anticipate that it's not going to be a written document. They anticipate it can be most any kind of media here. PNG, a JPEG. A JPEG's a picture, like you take with your phone. A PNG is a screenshot. You screenshot your computer. If you don't know how to screenshot your computer, you'll have to Google it based on the version of the operating system you have. It's different on some of them. You just hit the Windows key and the print screen, and it'll take a picture of the screen. Some of them you have to use a snipping tool. You need to figure out how to screenshot your computer. That's very handy in this program for artifacts. Very handy is to just take pictures of your screen. Now you'll notice if I hit the window and the print screen on mine, it just took a picture. Isn't that amazing? I've got a picture in my picture portfolio now. Let's see if I can go and find it. Let me move this out of the way. So if I go to my file manager and I go to pictures and I go to screenshots, it should open. I don't know if that'll open it or not. Let's see if it'll open it now. Yay, look at that. There's that screenshot that I just took. That's a real handy thing to know about your computer, how you can screenshot, called a PNG. Now, to upload that PNG, I would have to go to text and image. And right there it is, my current image, the one I just took. It'll upload the last one. If not, you can find it. Save and return. And there you go. And so now under communication, I will have a screenshot, and there it is. It's just that simple, folks. We want things. We want emails. We want pictures. We want agendas. We want minutes. We want those kinds of things. We want this plan or that plan. We don't want you to tell us again in a narrative that you're competent. We want you to show us by proving the work that you did. That's what a competency folio is. That goes, it's a part, it will be uploaded as a part of your DRF portfolio to go to the state. The reason we do it separately is it has to go to our accreditors as well to prove that you did a clinical experience. Please remember, you don't have a full-time supervisor that watches you every day like student teacher. You only have a principal that signs off. Their only responsibility is to sign off on your log that you keep at the end of the semester. This is a way that our accreditors are sure that you have done clinical experiences, because if you did, you would have work byproducts called artifacts if you actually did a clinical experience. So this is the proof in the pudding that you did the work that you said you did. A narrative is not proof, it's argument. You make your argument in the narrative, you have to have proof here. You have one competency folio. That's a good question. You have one competency folio. Don't submit it at the end of this semester. You just request comments on it. You use the same one for all 3 semesters because you got to have 3 rounds for each of these 21 down through visionary. You have to have 1 round each semester. You have to put 1 artifact in each semester. Now, digital learning competencies, that's just for your edification. Again, there is no submission there. I have embedded those in the first 21. But I have left them there, so if somebody asks you what digital learning competencies are, you can click on that button and read them. But those links are dead in there. You put them in these. Different ones like communication, when we read the directions, it will tell us this one has to satisfy the following digital learning competency. And it's pulled out of this group right down here. So I've already embedded them so that you won't have to do 84, you're still at 63. 3 times 21. If we do them separately, you're going to have to do another round, which is 84 competencies rather than the standard 63, one each semester for the 21 that you are required to do each semester. This is to cut down the amount of work. 63 is the accepted standard. So if you do the digital ones along when you're doing the others, in the end, you'll only have 63 of these. Now, the next question somebody's going to ask me is, can I have more? Absolutely, you can have more. You should have more. This portfolio, and another reason why we brought it out separate here, our accreditor likes that to CAPE people, but more importantly, for you, this becomes the portfolio that you take to show your work product to potential employers. Because guess what? Because we've set it up this way, look at this little button over here. It says Publish Share. You can publish this and share it with potential employers. You can also download it on a drive or a memory stick and take it with you. If people want to see what you've done, you can share. They can see the proof of the work that you've done during your clinical. So you'll have some people who did it old school, like some of us did. Dr. Stedman and I, we're old school. When we came through, you had to be a full-time intern. You didn't teach. You had to be a full-time intern for at least a year. And there's still some of us hanging around, believe it or not, who don't, they're just not sure that you people are doing the things that they did when they were interns. And y'all probably do more the first week than they did the whole time. Because I know y'all do more than I did. All I ever did was bus duty. I ran the bus lot in high school. When we changed from student to adult drivers, that's all I did all the time was the bus lot. But they'll question, did you really get a real clinical experience or not? And this is your proof, absolutely, that you did a full clinical experience. You've got a portfolio of artifacts that prove that you did what you said you did. So you can export and share this thing, publish it and share it, and people can see all the stuff that you produced. And it's been amazing how many of our students said, you know, that's what put me over the top in the interview, that I had something to show people of the work that I did. And they were skeptical that, being a full-time teacher and being an intern, that I was getting the right and enough of the experiences. But when they saw this, it put me over the top in the interview. So make sure you do this thing the right way. It will be very beneficial to you in the end when you go out job hunting to have this. But it won't be of any value if you just wrote more argument, more narrative in it. You've got to show us things. All right, let me stop and get some questions here. When can you begin to upload your artifacts? As soon as you get into TaskStream, as I said. If 2 teachers on your team prefer not to be recorded, do I need to do a video? Just do the pictures is great. You can always set up the camera on a recording where if they're on Zoom and you're doing it, if they're on Zoom where they don't have their video part, or you set the camera up where it's behind them, or if they don't want to be recorded at all, just take pictures. That's fine. That is fine. yeah, you should, respect people's privacy. But it's just like national boards. We can't do altered videos, because then somebody will claim that they're not real, that we staged them. I don't like. We've had some questions about the authenticity of some people's artifacts in the past. I know that some of you it would be better if we were edited them down in dead periods and general discussions and that kind of thing. But I don't want to have to get into a debate whether this was staged or whether it was a real meeting or not. I mean, you can stage a live meeting, but edited videos are a no-no. All right. That's all the questions for right now. So it's 8 o'clock on the dot. I've covered everything that was on Dr. Stedman's agenda for me to cover tonight. Dr. Stedman, do you want me to come back on next week? Hopefully they'll be in TASStream by then.
Yeah, let's come back on next week just to make sure that they know what to do once we get there. And then after that, we can kind of play it by ear.
Okay.
It shouldn't take I mean, we shouldn't have to be on there an hour next week.
No, next week will be short if we've got it. All right, you're welcome to Emily.
Okay, David, we just showed Dr. Lamb before we go out. David asked a question: where do we drop the video for their the Zoom group video for task 1 and 2? If you would go back and show that again.
All videos.
No, go back to the APSL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the completed peer review. Yeah, peer review. Yeah,
right there. All videos go in this box. You can do multiple. You can do as many as you've got right here.
Okay, got you. Okay, everybody see that?
You can do as many. I've got it set up for unlimited right here.
Okay.
This is a video Dropbox. It takes videos, and it'll take as many as you've got. I've turned it on unlimited when I set it up. That's the place to drop. If you've got 2 or 3 videos, that doesn't matter. It'll take as many as you want to put in there.
Good. Yeah. Just want to make sure. I know it's a lot. It's just sometimes we have to go back and just remind y'all, but it's a lot of stuff. So if you have any questions, always feel free to ask me if you need to know something. Okay. Okay, good night. You'll get this link later on tonight after I get it recorded and get everything done, but you'll get it later on tonight.
Good night, everybody.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Good week.